All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's Pillar 5 Advisory Committee meeting. I love that music.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. No, I love it. That was perfect.
It was exciting.
Before we get into our meeting purpose, I'd just like for us to all do a round of introductions too. I do know we have two relatively new student members of our committee. So just to make sure everyone gets to know each other, I'd like everyone to introduce themselves and say what's been a highlight so far, let's say the past month in their professional or personal life. So I'll go. My name is Javon Slew, or as my students and colleagues call me, Mr. Lou. A highlight for me would definitely be a lot of my seniors finishing up their college essay application season for like the early decision cycle, and they can focus a lot more back on the classwork I have in math class. I will kick it off to Amy.
Good evening. I'm Amy Evan, and I'm a senior research associate with WestEd. I live in Anne Arundel County. A highlight, um, my son was called up to play on the varsity baseball game. He's a pitcher and he's a sophomore. And they were down in the game, and he came in and 1, 2, 3 batters struck him out. And when he came in, they ended up winning the game. It just kind of like turned things, and they won. And he had a great first varsity game. So we were super excited for him. And I'll send it over to Jake.
Hello. My name's Jake. I work in Prince George's County. I was a social studies teacher, data coach, instructional lead teacher, and now I work in central office doing compliance work around student records and transfers and archival stuff. Yeah, and so I'm also on the side, I work on the expert review teams, and we just started up in the beginning of October, and I've had the pleasure of going on a couple visits so far. It's been fun. I've gotten to go to some schools kind of on my bucket list of places I'd like to go. And I got signed up for later in the year to go see my elementary school where I went to school. So I'm very excited to be a fly on the wall there. So yeah, that's been exciting. I'll pass it over to Heather, please.
Good evening. I'm Heather Clayball. I am the Associate Superintendent of Fiscal Services for Frederick County Public Schools. My highlight was that I went on vacation earlier in the month to Nova Scotia, and it was lovely. And I had perfect weather. Unfortunately, on my drive back, I got sick, so I had strep for the month of October. So that was not really fun, but at least I got to start the month in beautiful Nova Scotia. But I'm feeling much better now. And let's see, who can we shift it over to? If Glenda would like to go next.
Hello, can you hear me? Yes? Okay, so I'm Glenda Prime, Morgan State University. Professional highlight is that we started this year a 1-year Master of Arts in Teaching program at Morgan. It used to be a 2-year program, but given the teacher shortage, we were looking for ways of getting conditionally licensed teachers certified on a shorter time frame. And we have 59 students in that program, and it's going really well. And that's been exciting for me. On a personal level, the excitement is still to come. I am going to Trinidad for Thanksgiving, and I have a 7-year-old and a 12-year-old grandson who have never been to Trinidad, and I'm taking them with me along with their parents, of course, and they are just so excited. We are all excited.
I think we're going to need an update in December, Glenda.
Yes.
That sounds awesome. I think we could maybe pass it to, how about Gavin?
Perfect. Hey, y'all. My name's Gavin Falcone, and I'm not a senior associate or in charge of student records. I'm a junior in high school. And the highlight of my month, like the past month, is probably I did my first out-of-state college visit at Dartmouth. So that was really big for me. And something that's still in this month that's coming up is my birthday this Saturday, so I'm really excited for that.
Awesome.
And I'll pass it to, sorry if I butcher it. Actually, no, Michael hasn't gone yet.
Hello, everybody. Apologize. I'm en route from one meeting to the next and taking this meeting while I'm in motion. So apologize for not being on the camera. But my name is Michael Brown. I am the proud principal of Wild Lake High School in Columbia, Maryland. One of the highlights for me this year, as we ended up closing out our first quarter, always do a deep data dive and look at our school as a whole. We struggle with our chronic absenteeism rate as a school, not only this year, but years past. We've hovered around 38 to 40%. Right now, we sit at 25%. So I'm really ecstatic about exactly where we are in the trajectory for this school year. So I cannot see who I'm passing it on to next. So if somebody wanted to jump in there, that'd be great.
So I just want to say, I forgot to say this. I'm from Howard County, and I'm sorry I called you Michael, Mr. Brown. It's nice to meet or hear you. I've talked to a lot of your students from Wild Lake. I'm the Howard County Student Government President.
Yes, sir. Appreciate the look. You could call me Michael anytime. I am not that formal, so it's all good.
I'm going to take a quick moment to introduce Vanessa. Vanessa is our second student member to the Pillar 5 Advisory Committee, and Vanessa's at an exciting school event tonight at the National Honor Society induction celebration. So she is not able to be off camera for us, but she is going to try to use chat to contribute to the conversation. And I think Joni?
Hi. Yeah, I think I might be the last one. So I'm Joni Palco. I work for the Department of Defense, but I'm here as a parent advocate for my son. Highlights. Well, let's see. Even though we're shut down right now, I still go in. So it was still very busy because national security is important. So you guys are safe. As far as personal, there's so much going on. My son is a senior in college, so we're still getting through all that, trying to prepare him for graduation and finding a job when he graduates. So I'm constantly on him about finding a job. But other than that, it's just been a busy month. So I'm just trying to keep up with everything.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We do have another AIB staff member in addition to myself, and then I'd love to introduce our AIB board liaison. So Simone, do you want to say hey? And I'm not sure if she's in a place.
Sure.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, I've been having tech issues all day. Apologies for that, but happy to be here. Financial data analyst for the AIB.
Awesome. So each of our 5 advisory committees has a board member liaison. Then this year, I am excited to introduce you to a new one. We had Dr. Laura Stapleton before, but she has stepped down from the board, and we have 2 new members. With our new members coming on, we kind of had a mix around with who could attend which meetings and whose schedule allowed for which. So I'm very excited to introduce Dr. Jennifer Lynch to you. She'll be the member liaison here for Pillar 5, and we'll be able to join when she can, and we'll take back what you all surfaced to the board. Dr. Lynch, I believe you're in transit. Do you want to say hi?
Hello, I will say hello. I am also in transit, but it is good to be here. I'll be on camera hopefully in a little bit. My professional things that I'm very excited about, we're working on some really exciting collaborations across our university systems in my day job to actually serve our conditionally licensed teachers. And in my professional life, I actually had a thorn that was turned into a rose with the government shutdown. My flight was canceled the other day. I happened to be in Chicago. And since I had never been to Chicago before, it gave me the opportunity to do a little sightseeing and enjoying the city. So it was an unexpected blessing to get a little bit more time on a beautiful day in Chicago.
Awesome. I think I failed to introduce myself. I am Rachel Amstutz, Policy Director here at the AIB. I was like, oh, I don't know highlight, but I think I have to say I finally submitted the last version of my dissertation manual to the final third reader who's already read it once, and I might be done soon, or I might not be, but mostly I think I might be done soon. So that's my happiness in the world right now.
Yay, congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you everyone so much for the lovely introductions. Love hearing how everyone is doing, both in their professional and personal lives. If you do recall from the past couple of meetings, we've always kind of run short at the end or gone over meeting time. So we really wanted to dedicate some time this meeting for administrative, logistical tasks so we can be set for December and the new year coming soon, 2026. So I wanted to pass it for Rachel if there were any more AIB updates you wanted to provide. Otherwise, we can go for Amy for our next section.
Sure. I would love to do both, provide some updates and take any questions. So if there's any burning topics that you're curious to know, this is also a good time to do that. Since we last met, and I know this meeting snuck up on us because our October meeting was pushed back a little bit because of a holiday in October. So it's only been 2 weeks. I won't have a ton of updates. But since we last met, we did meet with our last LEA. So all 24 local school systems have done their progress monitoring meetings. And we have a meeting coming up next Thursday. And then during our last meeting, a meeting was added for December 1st. So right now we're in this, it's a busy window here at the AIB where we are reviewing and providing feedback and trying to get all documents, all submissions back to all the LEAs that are required for this year in terms of the release of funds and just the annual submissions. So that includes this year career counseling MOUs from the 3 partners in each LEA, career ladders, comprehensive math plans, minimum school funding, and something called adequate progress, which our board is currently defining and figuring out what that's going to look like for next steps. And so we have been knee deep in reviewing all of this documentation. And again, like I said, providing feedback and working through some revisions with some of the documentation. But the next 2 meetings will be pretty busy. We've approved to date a handful of career ladders and almost half of the career counseling MOUs, but we need to get the rest of those in. And then MSDE will be providing us with their recommendations for the comprehensive math plans that we will then need to forward on. And then the AIB members will need to engage in that public discussion about the progress and about next steps. By statute, they are required to issue any warnings if any counties are in danger of receiving a warning for not submitting a component of that or not making progress. That has to be done by December 1st, which would allow districts 2 months to be able to remedy any challenges before any final notification of funds being held would occur. So it's a busy time. We have to dot all of our I's and cross all of our T's here right now. And that's one of the busiest things happening here. There are many other things happening, but I'm not going to take over the whole meeting to tell you all that. So is there anything you've heard about, anything you want to know about, any questions you have that I can try to answer for you? Okay. I'm always available. If questions come up, we can come back to it. I will mention too that we are starting to prepare for the legislative session that just comes right on the tails of the holidays. So a lot of things happening in this time, but excited to talk about possible topics to move forward and to close up some of the conversations we've had about leadership roles and just ways for the committee to lean into the conversation here.
Thanks, Rachel. I think first we were wanting to revisit some logistics. So scheduling, format, committee engagement, leadership positions. Let's start with scheduling. I know for the most part, this Monday evening has seemed to work. But want to put it back on the table to see if, in fact, Monday night is still the best day or one of the more workable days. And if the time frame also works. And we want to keep in mind that we have some committee members that are students. So during the day is not going to be a possibility. And we have some committee members that are teachers. So evening time is our best bet. But again, we want to put this on the table. Does the 6 o'clock time frame work? Would it be better to go a little bit later, to go a little bit earlier? But let's start with the day. So all those in favor, or if you have a Monday where you're like, the Mondays are not working for me, feel free to come off mute and say that, or put your ideas in the chat. If you have a different day that you want to offer up, feel free to do the same.
I like this day and time.
Same time works for me.
This time works for me as well.
Same here.
I agree. Mondays are great for me.
I'd prefer a tad later in the evening, but the day is fine.
Okay. Jake, when you say a tad later, what are you thinking?
I mean, 7 or later would be better for me, but you know, if it works for everybody else, I can make it work.
Okay. How do others feel about the 7 o'clock time frame?
I can do 7. I mean, that's fine.
Opposed to it either. I actually kind of thought like 6:30, not as close to 7, but like 6:30 was actually what I was thinking even.
I was thinking the same, 6:30, if that's possible.
6:30, going to 7 is probably a little late, given the 90-minute and what time I typically start my day, which I'm sure the Mr. Brown is used to starting his day very early too. But I think compromising to 6:30 would be fine. I'd be amenable to that.
I will make either time work.
Okay. Why don't we keep it Mondays? We'll move it to 6:30 and we'll see how it goes. And if we need to revisit, please don't be shy if the time isn't working. But Jake, I know you had asked for it to be a little bit later the last time we were doing this. So I definitely want to be I want to be considerate of everyone's crazy schedule, because I know you have kids, I have kids. I think a little bit later would be helpful as well, just so we're not shoveling leftovers in our faces before the meeting. So let's try Mondays at 6:30 to 8, and we'll see how that goes. Bringing up the 90 minutes, does the 90 minutes still work for folks? I know we do have a difficult time keeping to that. So I'm like kind of cringing a little bit, thinking that we could get all this done, or like really do a topic justice in 60 minutes and allow for some Q&A. However, I also really appreciate that we volunteer our time. And so we want to make sure that we're using that time for the best purpose possible. So anyone opposed to keeping the 90 minutes?
Do you think perhaps there's an opportunity that if the topic, because I think some of our topics have been more detailed than others, that maybe we stick to the 90, but know that we can go 2 hours if necessary, depending upon the topic. I think just understanding if we needed the additional commitment time would be helpful. But I think since we compromised at 6:30, I have a much more willingness to go to 8:30. But that's just my own personal opinion.
I appreciate the thinking there too. And I wonder, Heather, if at some point this year, as year one, standing up Pillar 5 has been building a foundation, like really digging in and understanding the law. And really there's been a lot of more educational, like we all need to understand this, and we're sharing this for the world too, to understand. I'm hopeful that actually as we kind of almost complete the year here, one more session before we've had the full year under our belts, that some of the topics we'll be revisiting, that there won't be as much educating all of us on the topics, but that we'll get to dig back in and hear updates on things. So I can see where sometimes they may go a little longer. We may bring more guests rather than we've had a lot of AIB staff come and present, but we may be able to bring some more guests to hear to present and share some things too. But yeah, sometimes there's a lot to learn about some of these topics, so it goes long.
Anyone else have an opinion about the time? All right, then I think we've settled on Mondays at 6:30 for 90 minutes unless otherwise determined. I think too, as we kind of get a couple more of these under our belts, we may also be able to keep them moving a little bit faster. So we'll make that a goal. So anything else under logistics, scheduling, anything like that we need to discuss before we go into a brainstorm around roles and leadership?
In terms of the AIB, those are the topics we ask everybody to engage in each year. Just as we add new members and transition folks, that there's an opportunity to chime in about whether or not the schedule works and the day and the timing, the frequency. As a reminder, you're not required to meet monthly. The requirement is quarterly. And so as many of our other advisory committees have, gotten into year 3, actually, we're seeing that they've covered a lot of the territory and they're not meeting monthly, but that is a topic that you can think about as you're developing the schedule this year. Some of them take breaks in the summer. Some of them take breaks. Pillar 1 just had a meeting here in November. They resume after the holidays entirely. They come back in January. So you can talk about how often, like, you want to meet. The quarterly is what we ask everybody to aim to do. But usually what we've seen is the history of orienting ourselves to the pillar takes some time, but I'll just add that as a potential consideration. Other than that, those are all the topics that we ask for an annual conversation on.
Thanks, Rachel. Do we want to broach the topic of doing these quarterly, or are we okay with keeping them monthly?
I might suggest that we see what the topics are and see how many there are for this year and see where you want to put them in. And in that, I'll mention that we do have a couple AIB requests for spring meetings that I can kind of put out on the radar of 2 things that we usually do. But maybe we revisit that question after we talk about what are your burning interests once we get that conversation done.
That's a good idea, Rachel. All right, so let's move into leadership and roles. So I think part of what we wanted to do was offer the opportunity to take a larger role in shaping the agenda, coming up with the discussion questions, determining guests and AIB requests of what information we're requesting from AIB staff. A lot of that, and we so appreciate Rachel, both you and your staff coming on and giving us that informational deep dive, letting us know the rationale and what the thinking was, and then how that has evolved over time. Because coming at things right now, it's been incredibly helpful with each topic to understand more about what was the purpose and idea behind this, so that we can have a better understanding of how we got to this point here. So very much appreciate that. And I hope that can continue even, as we move forward. But I think Lou and I both wanted to give others the opportunity to really shape what these topics are, especially given our wide range of expertise on this committee. We can certainly start with the topics that have been brainstormed thus far, but being in a leadership role has certainly allowed for some of that shaping and direction of the agenda, and we'd really like to put it on the table for anyone that's interested in doing that. Please know that I will still be involved in AIB, but certainly am not, I guess I would love to pass the baton to someone else who would also be interested in being chair. So I'll open it up to see if anyone else is interested in a chair, co-chair position, or if you would like to name your position, like being the coordinator between the LEAs, being the connection between AIB, lining up the agendas and logistics. Really, whatever your heart desires, we could likely shape a role for you on these.
While people are processing that, I will add just a little bit of context here. This is one of the conversations we do ask each advisory committee to have annually, because we do want to rotate leadership where there's interest. If there are people that would like to take a lead in supporting developing topics, inviting guests, and fleshing out the agendas and just shaping the content of where the advisory committee heads. That doesn't mean that either Amy or Mr. Liu need to step down, but we also understand that in this volunteer role, it takes time. So if anybody is interested, we have seen models of co-chairs where people tackle co-chairing together. We've also had a model of having a third person be a secretary, but like Amy said, we're really open to anything. The governance structure is really up to the group. You are our biggest group also, and so that has made it very fruitful in terms of the conversations, but I think it's also made a need for our meetings to be a little longer to allow conversation. And we're very open to whatever people are interested in doing in this role on the team. Amy, I'll also note that we're down 2 members today, so we could also do a summary of this conversation and maybe send it out through email and put a deadline for people to let us know if you're interested, if we want to give them an opportunity to chime in as well. And for anybody who's thinking and just pondering what they might want to do, and that might give you a little bit more time to think.
Simply just wanted to echo what Rachel and Amy said. I've loved serving in the co-chair role, but we do recognize that, this is a very large committee, a lot of different perspectives, different roles, and do want to, and be sincerely and open to giving the opportunity to anyone who wants to step up in those leadership roles, but I'm happy to stay on as needed.
You guys are doing great. I don't see any reason to mess with it.
Yeah, and apologies, we appreciate that, Jake. We're not fishing for compliments. We really want to open this up.
I mean, he's not wrong. You guys have done a phenomenal job. And there's plenty of opportunity. So if anybody's looking for something, please let us know. I wonder if at this point we maybe want to shift it to email so we could send out a quick summary, and then that would include our 2 absent members. And then if anybody wants to chime in, has any questions or thoughts, it could be in an email.
That sounds good to me.
Glenda, you came off mute. Did you want to say something? All right, that sounds great. And as we dive into these topics, if there naturally is something where you're like, oh, I could do that, or I'd really enjoy shaping that, please, we would love to tap whoever is interested. But at this point, I'm going to scooch us over to the brainstormed ideas. This is a document that we've used this year pretty regularly. It was something that we developed collectively in the first, I forget, second meeting maybe. Let me put the link in the chat. And this is a list, kind of a list that we've been going off of to think about meeting topics for the year. So some of these we've tackled, some of them we need to come back to revisit. We did like a 101 and may need, an update on the topic or a dive into another aspect of the topic, but we've tried to utilize this list for this year to help shape the agenda topics and discussion questions, etc. And very much appreciated folks who signed up. You may have been some of those that got pulled into the planning meetings where we met with AIB staff and or were asked to present as well. Thank you, Heather and Candace. Last meeting, Jake has presented on his role in the expert review meeting. So very much appreciate everyone's willingness to dive in and provide your expertise and your perspective. But with that said, we have a whole new year and a whole new, potentially 12 meetings to dive into some of the questions that are burning in your mind. So I'm going to give folks a couple of minutes. I put the link in the chat of this document. Scroll through and see what jumps out at you as far as what we have tackled, what we need to revisit, what we need to add to this list. So go ahead and take a few minutes to scroll through. If your name isn't on the sign up for the topic and you are interested in helping out with that topic area, feel free to put your name in there. But let's add to this list. I will also suggest that we think about co-meetings with the other pillars. So Evelyn has brought up high quality instructional materials a couple times in our meeting, and it might be beneficial for us to do a co-meeting with, I'm going to jazz up the pillar. I think it's pillar 2. Is that right, Rachel? That would tackle high quality instructional materials.
Thinking maybe pillar 3 for pillar 2 would be the high
College and
quality and
career
diverse
ready.
teacher leaders, and so 3 would be college and career readiness.
Got it. So we can also look into doing co-meetings with the other pillars, and we can put the pillars in the chat too, so you.
And sometimes a co-meeting is tricky to schedule. We can always try, but we can also bring folks from that committee, just 1 or 2 who have expertise in that area. That's another possibility.
Good. Are you all able to get in? I see a bunch of anonymous turtles and squirrels and skunks and otters, kiwis.
Gotta love Google.
Yes, I was finally able to get in.
I just want to say I was able to get in. However, I do not have access to like write my name down. It says I have to request access to edit, and that was for all the links.
I will fix that right now.
Thank you so much, Rachel.
You got it. Okay, maybe refresh.
So I have a quick question regarding these topics. Are you looking for us to present, like, tackle these topics? I'm trying to understand what you're looking for.
Oh, thank you for that question. These are topics that, as a committee, we want to dive into in our meeting. So we want to know more about the Blueprint's role in these topics, or if you have other topics that are top of mind for you that you would like us to dive into, please add those to the list.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amy, I'll add, like, last meeting we did have expertise on the panel where we did have 2 members who helped us learn from their perspective about some of the fiscal components because they both work in that. So if you have an expertise area, or like Jake, if you he was on the ERTs, that's a place where you absolutely can. If it's just a topic that you're interested in and you're willing to help us think about who guests might be to bring to that, or how do we hear perspective from around the state, or if you'll help us think, like, what are the deep questions, and to clearly communicate what's the connection between this and Pillar 5, and what do we want to know about Blueprint implementation. It's helpful for both Amy and Mr. Luz and myself to have extra voices as we're planning these. So if you want to sign up for a topic that you're interested in, that is much appreciated in getting the best plan put together for each of the upcoming meetings.
Yeah, and there's a space at the, thank you, Rachel. There's a space at the bottom where you can add. So you don't feel pressured to have questions unless you do, but you could just put, like, I'm interested in waivers. I want to know more about those. Just put waivers, and then we'll pull you in and we can figure out what an agenda, like what a full agenda could look like around the topic of waivers. I'm just going to add one from Evelyn. HQIM.
While people are scrolling through that, I feel like maybe at the last meeting I mentioned that the AIB website was going through a complete overhaul. It is now live. I don't believe it was when we last met, but if you're looking for ideas and you're curious to see if, you know, what else is in Pillar 5 that maybe we didn't even think about last year, if you want to head over to our new website, aib.maryland.gov, website didn't change, same place. If you go to the implementation plans tab, which is towards the left middle, you can get access to the BCP, the Blueprint Comprehensive Plan. So the third tab over underneath all of the, Blueprint Comprehensive Plan, there's a PDF document here. If you scroll down just a little bit, this is the latest version of the Blueprint Comprehensive Plan. Just so you know, this is not the pretty version. We have pretty versions each year. This one, our graphic designer is still working on the pretty version. So there are highlights in this that show you what changed from last year. But if you do want to click here on that gold view here button, that will take you to the actual document. It is long. It is, I think, almost 200 pages long. Pillar 5 is towards the back, as you might expect. But if you just want a chance to skim through that and see what topics are out there that we didn't hit last year or what you're interested in, also a good chance for you to see the new website. One other part of the website I'll draw your attention to that Pillar 5 might have great interest in is under Blueprint Progress. We're all learning the new website. Under Blueprint Progress, the fourth tab over, the third tab is reports, and there's all the reports that come into the AIB. So from Pillar 5's perspective, there's a lot of data in here that's showing what's happening around Blueprint implementation. It is split into two sections, things that are submitted to the AIB and then things that the AIB submits. So we are still working on some of the search features in here. This has got a little bit of a glitch in it. Right now they're organized by year, but you'll find lots of things in here since the beginning of the AIB. It'll go all the way back to 2022. My guess is you're most interested in 2025 and what the most current things are. One other piece on this is that there is a place here under progress. When you clicked at the top, Amy, we picked reports for this one under Blueprint Progress. That data dashboards section is coming by December 1. We will have navigatable charts up there and interactive tools that you'll be able to search by county. So you may be interested in kind of a walkthrough of that at an upcoming visit to be able to see pillar by pillar. There will be about, I think it's like 35 slides per county broken down by pillar. Like I can tell you Pillar 1, I've looked at it the most. Pillar 1 shows you how many Tier 1 students in each LEA are being served, and it shows it over the past 3 or 4 years. And then the next slide of that will show total enrollment from private and public. Then it'll go to Pillar 2, and you'll see the number of vacancies. You'll see the number of new hires. You'll see some retention numbers. There's going to be a ton of data coming pretty soon that we've just not had a place to post it to. And it'll be a new look at Blueprint Progress over the years. So the website, we can do a tutorial and have Arshia come back. I think she came a couple months ago. She's really took the lead on revamping the website and helping us move to the future of showing progress of Blueprint. And then if you're interested in any particular reports or themes of reports, we could go through those as well. And then Jordan on our team has really helped us with the data dashboard. So he could point you to all the intricacies of those once we let him out of the little hole he's living in to try to get these dashboards ready for us. He's done an amazing job, but as you know, any data project is a lot. But the website has a ton of information here. So a lot of new content.
It's beautiful, Rachel.
Right?
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
We were proud of the first website because we went from nothing to something, but now we've really gone from launching Blueprint to Blueprint's underway. What's happening with Blueprint? We're better able to tell the story. My team, the policy team, is really going to be hoping to add, if you look at the Explore Blueprint tab, There's pillars now, pillar pages. We plan to be adding current things to spotlight what's happening and to be able to tell the story of what Blueprint implementation looks like around the state. So this website will be able to be much more dynamic and up to date than where we were before. So yeah, it's a lot of fun to dig through if you've got a little time, but it also might point you to some questions.
Wow. I like these little data shout outs.
You know, when we met this year with all of the 24, there's just so much to shout out with, you know, once we've talked to all 24 counties, when you get to spend 3 hours at a table looking at some data, talking about it, those are the stories we want to get out there for the public, that we want to share with everybody to know the hard work that's happening, you know, the challenges that people are hitting, the innovations that the districts and other Blueprint partners are trying. There's a lot of really hard work happening around Blueprint, and we do hope to be able to tell that better through this website.
Awesome.
It's right here, right?
Guess I'm curious, does anybody see any topics that weren't on the list that you'd like to add to the list to discuss, or anything jumping out at you about curiosities that you'd hope that this group could dig into for the coming year?
Rachel, I had one. This is just a personal interest of mine, specifically when it comes regards to incarcerated youth transitioning in and out of JSEP, because I know JSEP is an independent body, but I do know they have to submit implementation plans, but also at the same time, I do know teachers there who are nationally board certified don't get the 10 or the 17,000 stipend that teachers like myself or other teachers in Maryland could get. So I was just hoping to learn more, because there's a lot I don't know on just how all that works and how advocacy can look like.
Sure. Yeah, great question. JSEP, Juvenile Services Educational Program, does have implementation plans listed on our website. If you go to the implementation plans tab, I haven't gone looking for these yet. State implementation plans. So MSDE, MHEC, the CTE committee, the consortium, and JSEP do submit these plans. JSEP also had to submit a comprehensive literacy plan, and they will turn in a comprehensive math plan similar to the LEAs. So here's the difference. JSEP is a state agency, and they are not an LEA. Much of the law and all of the funding is written as directed to LEAs. So JSEP is working toward implement Blueprint, and they don't have all the same requirements that the LEAs do. So if you skim their plan, you'll see them talk about the national board certification, and they've done some advocacy to say we need some help to be able to pay this salary. So I would encourage starting there, looking at the plan and reading it from their words. I will tell you that back this summer, I think, there was a leadership turnover at all levels. Our contact at JSEP, and then higher above that with Juvenile Services. There's been some turnover with some people there, very, very dedicated folks that we work with, and they're working hard to interpret Blueprint and to support students, because many of these students transition in and out of that LEA. They are owned by an LEA, and then they have a placement at Juvenile Services while they're going through this moment in their life. then they go back. So their LEA owns them, and JSUP really works hard to coordinate services to make sure that things like career counseling stay in place, to try to keep up on interventions and to help them receive the just-in-time education that they need. So JSUP's been a wonderful partner. Happy to get some more information. Maybe a topic that we bring sometime. I do appreciate the advocacy. We oftentimes think of those students as being in our Pillar 4 group. So we think of our students that we just need to attend to a little bit more. So multilingual, special education students. We've had some very wonderful conversations with the staff at JSUP to talk about how do we make sure, that they're benefiting from what Blueprint envisions. And I can tell you there's some really great things happening with partnerships with 2-year and 4-year colleges, with career counseling, with trying to help the students find their interest. What's your job? What's your path after this? So a topic area that I also have taken great interest in and think that it's definitely worth conversation and following up on. So got some reading there for you on the website to take a look at, and happy to talk more about it or bring it, or maybe we do a topic about Pillar 4, the kids that we're talking about, and that's one of those populations in Pillar 4 that we could look into. Community schools would be another. We're now at more than half of Maryland's 1,400 schools are community schools. That could be a really good topic for Pillar 5 that I'm not sure is on that list. As just a human and not an employee, I like in the community, when I run into people that, they'll share a need. There've been many families that have been struggling with food here recently. And when I'll mention like, hey, where do they go to school? Is it a community school? You need to reach out to your community school coordinator. Sometimes people aren't aware. And when you think about families that are stressed about needing food, they don't have time to read every newsletter coming home from the school. They may not know the right people to reach out to. And so that is on my mind as well. Like, how do we raise awareness about community school resources and what the schools are doing with those funds to create the wraparound services? I think people would be really impressed to hear the strategies and the approaches that are being made. So you took me to a second loop there, Mr. Luge. It's a natural connection, but yeah, JSUP is definitely an important population, as are all of our students in Pillar 4, that we want to make sure that Blueprint efforts are really reaching them and helping us reach our intended goals. Ooh. Dr. Prem, I'm going to read what you put in the chat, since people following along tonight out on the live stream wouldn't be able to see this, but interested in how Blueprint implementation gets factored into system level evaluation of schools. I think that's a fascinating topic that is a little bit beyond what my team would be able to speak to, but we certainly could reach out to LEAs and see how they're monitoring Blueprint implementation at the school level, which I think you mean that deeper than like minimum school funding, like just the funding question, but more broadly, all of the requirements of Blueprint, not at a district level, but at a school level. That would be a fascinating topic to just hear the different approaches to that around the state. Perfect.
Please correct me if I'm wrong, because I know I'm still kind of pretty new to the committee. But just an idea of something we could do more. I don't know if this would fall under a subtopic, but looking at the definition of what we do as a committee to identify problems, it'd be interesting if we can dedicate one of our meetings to more or less a town hall, in a sense, to listen to different representatives from the LEAs from across the state, and where we are more that to help facilitate those ideas and understandings of different difficulties, because I know I'm just going to throw it out there. Heather, you're from Miss Clawbug. I'm sorry if I butchered that, either or. You're from Frederick County versus Howard County. I know we have very different issues in the blueprints implementation. Like I know in Howard County specifically, it's how we're dividing it up. It's how our population as a county is decreasing comparative to other counties. So it's the maintenance fees are never going. So I think even that town hall, in a sense, we can kind of then get a broader spectrum and we can invite different LEAs from different places. Because let's even just say Central Maryland in general, PG County, Howard County, Montgomery County, we're all are so different. Because, for example, the closest comparison I would say is Howard County, Montgomery County, but Montgomery County has 176,000 students. Howard only has 55,000 now. So I think that town hall, in a sense, would be a great opportunity to get perspectives from all the bodies on like what their problems are. And then for our further meetings, we can kind of like pitch solutions in a sense and like help them in that process.
Neat idea. The one thing, Gavin, I would maybe modify the word of LEAs is to blueprint implementation partners. That it's workforce boards, community colleges, higher eds, private providers for pre-K 1 and the LEAs. The LEAs shoulder a large part of every pillar. And we have a lot of partners who are also working to make this work. So I think that's a really neat lens to take a look and to hear.
Rachel, is it possible to, I know we've tried in the past, timing didn't work out, but to bring in the blueprint coordinators to Gavin's point, to get the blueprint coordinators together to start to share, like, what are I crack up because I know each and every district is so different, yet sometimes when you start to hear, and you may already know this, but once you start to hear folks and what they are looking toward for implementation and some of the things that they're working through or learning, sometimes, we kind of average to the mean, and there are some similarities in a lot of ways. And so I'm curious I don't know if we'd want all 24 blueprint coordinators at the same time. However, are there coordinators that are across multiple districts? Like, could we have a smattering of blueprint coordinators that could come on and give us a sense of how our district's doing? Where are the pain points? What are the successes? What are some of the changes that they're seeing? Just to, as you say, how could we tell the story of what's happening on the ground?
The first thing that comes to mind is that all 24 would be tough. It is built in the blueprint that every LEA does get their own blueprint coordinator. So there are 24, and in some places there's 2 in each that they share the role. I'm wondering about if you might want a connection with PASAM, that the public state superintendents, I'm going to get it wrong, Association of Maryland. There we go. Did I get it right, Heather? Was that close? I think I got it. I might have gotten my S's mixed up in there. It's the school superintendents group. It's late at night here. They work very hard to hear from all of the LEAs, and they network with the blueprint coordinators quite regularly, and we are part of that. But I wonder if they might be able to help channel that, and or what we do in a lot of our advisory committees is think about, we may not hear from all 24 in this particular moment, but how do we make sure that we get representation, and maybe an opportunity where we say, hey, could you ask the others in your region and have one person from each region come? We do broadly break the state up into regions sometimes. That might be a way to do that. Or yeah, I think that we could maybe connect with our partners at PASAM to see if they would want to join at some point and just kind of share updates. I know that we're headed to the MAG conference next week, the Maryland Assessment Group conference, and Dr. Curran will be offering keynote remarks at lunchtime on Tuesday. But I know that We're presenting a couple sessions on Blueprint, and I did also see that Pazam will be presenting a session as well, kind of on this topic. So we could certainly reach out and see. That might be a way to help address not bringing 24 people to a meeting, because we'd be here all night. But we could definitely try something like that. I again would mention that we do want to broaden our perspective. That Blueprint implementation is a lot of people. So if we think about teacher prep programs, like that's a whole audience right there that's addressing the pipeline issues, that we have to have them in order to be able to fulfill Pillar 2, the goals of Pillar 2. We need our workforce boards and community colleges and higher ed four-year partners in order to meet the goals of Pillar 3. And in Pillar 4, we need all hands on deck. We've got all kinds of people that we're working with. So I think that I just want to reemphasize thinking about Blueprint implementation partners broadly. Dr. Lynch.
Yes, I was just going to say, I think it's really great to be able to hear from all of our stakeholders and our partners. I would encourage us to think about the question at hand and sort of, scheduling agenda topic areas, and then inviting someone to speak specifically about that instead of just like, tell us how it's going, because I think that there's a lot that is happening. And I think to your point, even just having one person go through how it's going, we have met with every LEA for 3 hours each, and we have not yet scratched the surface of how it's going. And so I think for the work of this advisory committee, it's about the information that you need to help sort of provide that advisory role, so you could get a lot more information than you ever thought you might want, I guess is my gentle point.
Thank you.
What about the other side of the coin, like the elected representatives in, at the state level who deal with this a lot? Is there any mechanism from hearing from them and their thoughts? I mean, I feel like they have a major role to play, and I'm not sure exactly what that looks like, but.
Yeah, that's a great question, Jake. We, like as the AIB as an agency, attend things like there's 2 different conferences, the Maryland Association of Counties, MACO, and then MABE for the elected boards, or the boards of education, actually, I should say. So we collaborate with them. We go to some of their conferences. They invite us in. We are in touch, but in terms of, there's not like a regular scheduled meeting around that, but each year there are opportunities where we all come together and connect, share updates, hear kind of legislative priorities, that sort of stuff. I'm trying to think about, like, to Jen's point, what would a topic be around that they would be an invited guest. But they are certainly Blueprint implementators and are impacted and involved in achieving the goals of Blueprint.
With all of these, part of the work is fleshing out the focus areas, as well as the questions, as well as the requests for if we have visitors join. So Jake, love that idea, and I'm gonna go ahead and put your name next to it.
You ask a question and your name goes on the list.
So
sounds good.
When we do get to that topic area, I think you'll have some really good ideas about how to flesh that out.
And maybe Candace, right?
Yeah, quick question related back to what Gavin said a little bit earlier about the town hall, like listening type session. I do know our Pillar 5 Advisory Committee had the public input meeting last June, and I believe all the 5 advisory committees did as well. Is that a yearly thing for each of the advisory committees?
Fabulous question. That's what I was alluding to earlier. Thank you. Yes, we would ask that you hold time in the spring for another meeting similar to that. We'll know soonish. If we need to know, we can get you a date if it would be April or May. But last year, it was the first year we had done it that way. We used to do it at an AIB meeting, but that limited how many people could present. So by doing it across 5 meetings and then a meeting at the AIB meeting, we were able to hear from more, to provide more opportunities, more days and more opportunities for people. We would like to do that again this year. Similarly, I think last year, our government relations officer came and Joy Schaefer shared updates after session ended. Like kind of there's a break after session where we kind of get to reorient and get everything compiled and know what's changed, like what legislation did get passed, and if there are any changes to Blueprint. We would like to do that again. There's a possibility we could combine them depending on timing, and do both of them, say in late April, or in your case, early May, if we're keeping it at the second Monday of the month. By the second Monday in April, we won't have it all lined up yet, but by the second Monday in May, we would be able to do that. And then the purpose of that meeting is to hear from anybody and everybody that's connected to Blueprint about suggestions they have. On our end, it's for the Blueprint Comprehensive Plan. So that document I linked you to earlier tonight, it's thinking about that and saying, is there anything missing? Is there anything that should change in here? It usually begins to encompass or start leaning towards a kickoff to some of the legislative requirements, just because sometimes we have to help clarify what's legislative and what's in the Blueprint Comprehensive Plan that the AIB members can vote to change. But yes, we would love to hold a meeting. I'd suggest the May meeting for that, to be able to do both. And that would be a great way to allow for that town hall idea. I think last year we gave 3 minutes to people, but the staff were very open to feedback. If you didn't think that was enough, if people got cut off, if we need to give them a little bit longer, and then we also, or if that was enough time. We also accept written feedback at that time, that they can send things in if they aren't able to attend, or if they have a lot more remarks than what they can fit into the time limit, they can also submit a longer document.
Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah, and I think to that point, last year we decided to do that in spring, but now we know that we're going to do it. So we're putting it out there today to say, hey, here's an opportunity to come share, mark your calendars that we're going to be offering this again, and really do want to hear from people. So I appreciate you asking. And maybe we can kind of put the word out, save the date a little bit earlier, now that this was a successful strategy, and we'll do it again. I'm curious, on the list of topics that we did last year, if there are any burning issues that you want to not repeat, but just revisit and hear an update on. Were there any topics that you would say, like, definitely this one needs to circle back around again?
I would say the evaluation. I know when we went through that topic, NORC was just named as the evaluator, and just looking at the website, there's so much more information available. So an update maybe further into the year would be really helpful to hear what they're learning, and maybe that'll get to like some of our questions too, around like what folks are experiencing, what they're learning, and all that as well. So we may have a couple of big overarching questions that we're tackling a bit. We're kind of eating the elephant bit by bit in these meetings. But that was the one that I thought was really interesting, but it left us with quite a bit more questions just because everything was so new when we went through it.
I agree. Perfect topic. It's not ready to bring back yet, I don't think, but I think definitely before the end of the school year would be great because they'd still be, still have some months that they're working on it, but they'll have more done. We're still in some of the creation of surveys and that sort of thing. But once they've been boots on the ground a little bit more and had time to dig in, I think that'd be a fabulous topic.
Any last words, suggestions, ideas? We're also going to send this out, especially for our 2 members that are not with us tonight, to give them a chance to add theirs. And when we do, if anything else crops up, feel free to add. We may get to the point where we're going to have too many topics, which is a great problem to have. And we can, and if you do add it, I've been adding folks' names at the end just so we can circle back. But please, 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 this is what helps bring these interests to light and helps uncover and tackle some of the questions that if we're having, likely others are too. So just helps bring more clarity and information out to the public, which is really helpful. But with that said, I think we have gone through our agenda for tonight. This we figured would be a slightly shorter meeting, given that it wasn't a topic to tackle, but more logistics. But anything else that we skipped? Lou, you always keep us on track. Are we missing anything?
Looks good for now, from my perspective.
All right, great. I think one of the things we're going to do moving forward is to try and lay out the topics 2 months at a time. So if we're looking at December and January, are there 2 topics that are top of mind that folks want to tackle? And they don't have to be related. We were just trying to make planning a little bit easier and more efficient. I know at the last meeting when we talked about fiscal processes and budgets and the idea of waivers came up. Is that still something that is top of mind and folks want to dig into the waivers, or is there something else that has come up that's timely that we want to tackle?
I will mention on that one that my team will likely need a little more time. We are really busy right now getting everybody over the hurdle, trying to get through December 1. So I think we would at least need more time to kind of share what happened while right now we're in the making it happen phase.
So maybe January
Potentially,
is waivers?
Yeah. And it may be the whole process. I don't know, just an update on kind of what happened in November, December, and waivers may be a piece of that. I think we just need to, we kind of have to live through it. This is our first year of living this.
What are we thinking for December then? Or do we want to skip December and come back in January? You know, holidays are a tough time for everyone. would we be in favor of skipping December's meeting and tackling waivers in January?
I'm for it.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. That'll give us all some time to really get over the hump and
Perfect.
come back in January. Are we in that season now? We're going to circle back in January. I think we've hit that threshold. All right. Well, that's fair. So then in the meeting, I'm not going to ask folks to decide on a topic right now for February, but in the meeting, when we send this out, not in the meeting, in the email, when we send this out over email, if you can just respond with a topic of interest for February, and then we'll gather all those up and see what would be a potential topic that we could pull together for February. That would be really helpful. Anything else that we should have talked about but didn't? All right. I think that's it. Rachel, anything else? Lou, anything else that we missed? Well, thank you all for your ideas and your engagement. And it's lovely to see you, and wishing you all a healthy and happy holiday season. And we'll be in touch for sure. You're not getting rid of us until January, but we won't see you till the new year. So happy New Year.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Happy holidays to you all.
Thank you. Happy holidays, everyone.
Thank you.
Glenda, have such a great time on your trip.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm just looking forward to it. Showing my grandsons where their dad was born and
Neat.
where he grew up. It's going to be so exciting. Thank you.
That's lovely. All right, y'all. Have a great night.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye-bye.
Is Rachel